about the Italian Artistic Renaissance by Emily Foster, Piper Ellenberger, Olivia Deck, and Kian Youngberg. What was the Italian Artistic Renaissance? The Italian Renaissance was a rebirth of classical values in art, literature, and philosophy. It was a period of revival of the ideals and culture lost during previous years of war. This revival led to a complete shift in perspectives, literally and figuratively, in Italian art and culture. Overall, it was a new time for Europe, and it became a period of history that would live on for ages to come. It was a period of artistic development in Western art. Its influence spread across Europe and gave rise to the culture and scientific ideas that shaped artistic thought for the next 500 years. When it started, the Italian Artistic Renaissance took place in Florence, Italy, due to movements' roots in the Roman Empire, as well as wealthy families willing to support the arts. The Renaissance is said to have started in Italy in the 1300s. It was a revival in art, architecture, literature, music, culture, technology, science, theology, geography, and politics.
Art featured. There are a number of themes found within many Renaissance paintings, as well as certain techniques used by many of the artists of the time. It is by locating these characteristics that is able to identify a Renaissance piece of art. The types of art featured in the Italian Artistic Revolution. The most are naturalism, which is a search of the perfection of form that was inspired by the naturalism of classical sculpture. Perspective drawing, which is the development of perspective drawing as the standard means of organizing the spatial depth of a picture. New media and techniques, which is the development of new media and techniques which were essential to achieve a greater naturalism in art. And naturalism and realism. Naturalism in Italian art depicted subject matter in a more realistic manner. In other words, it's reflected the external world and people as they appeared. This is also characteristics of Greek and Roman art, and something that the Italian Renaissance artists sought to emulate. The element of realism was at its best evident in how artists choose to depict anatomy, whether in paintings or sculptures. Many artists studied the human figure and in fact, to gain a better understanding of how the human body worked and looked. Some artists like Leonardo da Vinci even studied real corpses.
Early Renaissance from 1400 to 99. The early Renaissance is mainly associated with the city of Florence. As the birthplace of the movement and as its main center of artistic innovation, early Renaissance art introduces a great degree of naturalism by placing an emphasis on the observational drawing of the human figure. It also establishes a more precise organization of the figures, buildings, and landscapes through the invention of perspective drawing. The High Renaissance was from 15,000 to 27. The High Renaissance relocated to Rome, which became the cultural capital of the movement under the generous patronage of successive popes. Some individual artists and their patrons also gained recognition for their local regions in central Italy through the creation of significant artworks. The path to realism in art reached its peak in the 16th century with Leonardo, Michelangelo, and Raphael, who achieved the classical ideals that artists had pursued since the Proto-Renaissance. Late Renaissance. The late Italian Artistic Renaissance began around 1520, spreading by about 1530 and lasting until about the end of 16th century in Italy. The late Renaissance, often called the Mannerist period, is characterized by artworks that typically display a style in European art that emerged in the later years of the Italian High Renaissance. These artworks usually took other works of art as model.
Famous people, the Medici family. The Medici family, or House of Medici, were important influencers on art, economy, politics, and general Italian society during the Renaissance. This took place mostly in Florence, which became the capital for following the ideas from the classical era. It was also known as the New Athens. What is important to know about the Medici family is their patronage of the art world. Cosimo de' Medici commissioned many artists to produce paintings and also started the public library in Florence. Among other endeavors that supported the development of the arts in Florence, Cosimo de' Medici's love